Hey everyone, welcome to our Worthiness Matters joy-based spirituality 30-day workout series. My name is Debbie Happy Cohen, and I'm the founder of Joy-Based Living. Today's question, which was written by one of our members, is what do I do after worthiness? Now, if you've been with me through the last few days of this series, I say the question, then I invite you to tune into your own body, to your own embodiment, to your own feelings, to your own emotions. Tune into your body, and then we put the question off to the side, and I talk about a few things, and then we come to my experience of the answer, and yours might be different. But the actual contemplation itself and feeling it in your body, that is the workout. So today's question is, what do I do after worthiness? What does that question feel like in your body? We're going to put it off to the side just for a little bit. I do have an edit for that question because it's really important to ask it in a way that makes most sense. What do I do after worthiness? But I want to read you some building blocks first. I write these building blocks because they are reminders that give me peace when I need them, when I need reminders. So your feelings are alive because you are. So sometimes feelings are kind of rough and tough, and sometimes they're difficult. Your feelings are alive because you are. So when you're feeling an uncomfortable feeling, you can remind yourself that you're alive, and that's why you're feeling. And here's another one. I like this one a lot. This is just a sweet message. It's a common thing you've heard, I'm sure. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Question. What do I do after worthiness? So I rephrase that question to what do I do as worthiness? There is no after worthiness. What do I do after I recognize my own worthiness? What do I do as worthiness? And what you do as worthiness is you trust your feelings and your impulses and your heart and your soul more. What you do as worthiness is you tune in within and you tell yourself your own truth to the best of your ability about what you feel, what you need, and what you want. I am watching right now a series with Brene Brown at HBO Max. It is awesome. It's from her book Atlas of the Heart, which I really like, but I don't recommend as wholeheartedly as I do the HBO series. You don't need to have read the books in order to get a huge amount from the series. I was watching episode 2, and she was talking about how there's two things that go on with our feeling nature. One is the actual felt sensation, and number 2 is the language we use around it and how both of those experiences shape what we feel. So if I'm about to go on a roller coaster because I want to go for a ride, I can feel excited or I can feel scared. And what I tell myself is going to influence my experience. And so when we name things accurately, when we name things more truthfully and with more granularity, we become more emotionally present to our own experience, and we get to shape our experience more powerfully versus having experiences or cultural conditioning shape us. The other thing I want to be really, really celebratory about is, let's see, what do I do after worthiness? Or as I say, what do I do as worthiness? So I wrote this book in the year 2000, in the first 10 days of the millennium. In the first 10 days of the year 2000, I was writing the first draft of this book, Reach Your Stars. And I have to tell you this because I want you to recognize how much comes out sometimes in the creative process, but then how worth it is. Oh, and then I did a bunch of seminars for schools and teachers and corporate, but total success seminars for schools. And I had like a bunch of corporations um, paying for the school seminars, and so I was able to reach a lot of kids and teachers, and it was amazing. But the first 2 days of that writing process was pure crap. I mean, like, imagine going to a cabin in the woods and it hasn't been, nobody's been there for a while, but the water's just been turned on. And you turn the faucet on. What's the water going to be like when you first turn it on? What's the water going to be like? It's going to be brown. It's going to be bleh, it's going to be ick. The stuff in the pipes is going to come out. Do you want to drink that water? No, you don't want to drink that water. However, if you're in the creative process and the first few attempts are crap, keep going. And that was my strength. That was my strength in that particular creative process. Because sometimes I quit. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, this is just pure crap, and I'll quit. But I was so dedicated to this experience, to this book. I just felt it coming out of me. I was like, okay, it's time. It felt like I was giving birth because I'd been waiting for that book for about 5 years. I knew I wanted to write a book. In 1995, I was like, I want to write a book. I want to write a book. I know I want to write a book. And I was complaining to God because all that was coming out of me was poetry. Oh, you stupid! Remember the poem I read to you yesterday? If God is an ocean, I am a wave. Um, I was complaining. I was like, I said I wanted a book. I'm like telling God what to do, right? So, but I felt this energy wanting to come out, and so I want you to know it happened to me a few days ago. And one of the things I do to help myself in letting my own worthiness be expressed is I create subcultures where I can be safe to work out the kinks before I show up publicly. So I don't show up publicly perfectly. I mean, yesterday's conversation was me very much, working out the language of something I was experiencing with the Reverend Sassy Shorts costume of Cape Collar Crown, and it was bumpy, but it was good. It was a good message. But like the first couple of days of this series, of this Worthiness Matters series, I didn't even make those public on YouTube. Like, I'll just keep them unlisted. And the people who get to watch them are the people who are my Patreon subscribers, because my Patreon subscribers are constantly cheering me on. They're constantly like, come on, keep going. We see the difference that you're making. Keep going. And I'm safe making mistakes around them. Because they're going to cheer me on to keep going. And if I ask them for their opinion about something, they're going to be honest with me. I can call any one of them and be like, okay, tell me, how I could improve this or that. But sometimes it's not time to ask for improvement. Sometimes it's just time to go forth. And, like I love the metaphor of a baby learning to walk. And when I first started professional speaking, I didn't want any criticism. I just wanted to keep going and going and going and copying other people. That's what babies do. They copy the people who are walking, and they go, oh, I'm going to be like mommy and daddy or whatever. So I would look at other people who were inspiring to me, and I would just keep modeling after them, because that's what we do as human beings. We do it so easily. We do it best. I just was watching this uh, mini film on YouTube about a man who graduated from MIT, is like a genius mathematician, and after a really rough breakup with the love of his life, decided to go live in some deep woods of Hawaii, a jungle, like a kind of jungle in Hawaii, and he has to machete the thing. He has to machete the trees all around his house because they can't just um, bulldoze anything, because they'll actually hurt the grounds there. And he was swimming with the dolphins, and he noticed that everybody in this dolphin pod was mimicking the head dolphin. They were just kind of following, and so he put on some like hand flippers, and he started mimicking, and then they let him join them, and because they saw he was going along, right? And so we model really, really, really well. And so find people in your world that you can model. This man became a mathematician because he was familiar. He felt a familiarity with the language of math. And then he started modeling after people who were greater, and then learning and developing that language with them. So I'm going to go back to the question, what do I do after worthiness? Is what he said. I'm saying, what do I do as worthiness? This song keeps coming to my mind. So I started playing it today when I was kind of letting this question rest in my mind. The song kept coming. Do you remember that song? To be real. Do 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 do. I don't remember the name of the singer. I can tell you. Oh, maybe I can't tell you. Oh, Cheryl Lynn. Got to be real is the name of the song, so you might want to check that out. You be real. You be real, and you be real in your fullest self-expression that you can. And sometimes your fullest self-expression means you be quiet and you tune in. So I meditate every day as a way of tuning in to what is wanting to emerge from me as me. So I rest in a state of nothingness as much as possible. Um, Within a meditation, I see my mind get distracted. I go back to the field of infinite love, of nothingness, and I feel connected with it. And it is the joy-based spirituality for me is letting that mysterious magnificence of the whole universe be my main model as far as a felt sensation, a universal felt sensation, like what created me from the grandness of all of life. Something created all of us. And to me it must be a very loving and very frivolous being. um and I'm here to feel the way that it feels. And if it is magnanimous love, then I want to be tuned into that magnanimous love. And so that is how I answer the question, what do I do as worthiness? Now, I want to give some caveats here in that if you've been feeling very unworthy and then you start awakening to your own worthiness and you start being more loyal to your own worthiness, your life is probably going to go through some shifts. So you might want to buckle in and get really steady. If you were in a boat, just be like, bend your knees. And so when the boat starts rocking, you're kind of going with it, because it's going to get rocky because you haven't been in integrity with yourself. And that's just part of the game of life. There's no judgment about that. It's like, oh, there I lost myself again. I found myself again. It's like we're playing this game of hide and seek with ourselves. Because if we are truly infinite magnificence, then what is this life? We're playing hide and seek. We're playing peekaboo. Um, Peekaboo is more fun, I think, than hide and seek. Hide and seek, every time I go to hide, I would always feel like I have to pee. As soon as I went to hide, I'm like, I gotta pee. But peekaboo is just fun. It's just fun. So we're playing peekaboo with our own magnificent self. So never judge yourself for feeling not as in integrity with your own worthiness. So if you're already feeling an experience of worthiness, and then you, what do I do as worthiness, right? Because it's not after, because you're already feeling it, you're already identifying with it, with your own sense of worth. Um, you simply continue to listen and evolve yourself in that state of worthiness. And I always like to suggest you want to make sure you feel like you belong. So this guy who was in the middle of the deep woods, is in the middle of the deep woods, deep forest. What do you call it? Jungle in Hawaii, more of a jungle. Um, he was he had learned Buddhism and he became a Buddhist, and so he had a Buddhist teacher, and so he was doing some mantras, and they were showing some of. He lived in a very nice house, um, and just thinking about him, I'm breathing deeper because he has a real sense of deep peace with himself. At one point, he cried about something, and he cried about a moment, a memory of having experienced his own divine nature, and he just broke down crying, and it was so beautiful because he was just being. He lives in the jungle. He's got more of an authenticity because he's not parroting a lot of the culture around him. um, he was just being authentic to his own feelings, and it gave me a real deep breath just watching him. So you live more fully in your authenticity as worthiness. And then you give other people uh, a sense of permission to do the same. We're not machines. What makes us different than machines is that we have feelings and that we have a divine nature. And so, as worthiness, we allow that to be expressed with as little inhibition as possible, right? And then we connect with other people and we celebrate them in doing the same. And we let them celebrate us in doing the same. And that's joy based living. So, joy based living means that all of the feelings, the unworthiness and the worthiness, are both, we open our arms to all of the feelings because they're the palette of our experience. And I'll end with this. You know, I've been working with professional grade art materials for the last few years, which means they're prettier and they're way more expensive because the pigment is not watered down, it's not dumbed down, which means that when I mix colors, I get a radiant mix. I get a radiant result. It's like really beautiful. Um, and I was going somewhere with that, and I forgot where I was going. Um, I'll show you one of the other blocks that I have here because it keeps calling to me. And if you don't like the word God, replace it with the word love. Um, this one says, God's peace fills my being. God's love fills my soul. God's love fills my being. God's peace. So what happens is you end up showing up with a richer pigment of who you really are. That's what, with joy-based living. That's what I was talking about. Is in my palette, because I use really rich colors, the black is really, 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 really black, and I can only use like a tiny drop of, like, I don't, if I try to use too much of it, it will just overtake everything. Um, and but would you ever want a palette that didn't have the darkest of dark blacks? If you want a full palette, you want all the colors. Um, and so that metaphor, I think, is kind of obvious at this point, is that you want to welcome all the colors of your being. And that's what it means to be practicing a commitment and honor and loyalty to your own sense of being and to your own emotions. And I'll read you one more and then we'll head off. Here, this one's. I like writing words on separate sides because it teases my brain. This one says, "The fleet in me." Let me do it this up close. There we go. The fleet in me is steadfast on thee. My soul is happy, and I am free. And up here, there's a ship. I did this before the ship. I did this like a year ago before the ship metaphor that we now have for Worthiness Matters. It's kind of premonition, I guess. And the ship represents um, following your soul, following your soul. The ship represents being a personality within a fleet of ships and following the mothership, tuning into the mothership, so that you stay safe and you stay within your kind of clan of ships, and you stay with your fleet and you follow your soul. And so that's what the ship represents to me. That's a Gary Zukov metaphor. He wrote Seed of the Soul. I think that's about all for today. Thank you for being with me here on this wonderful live stream of Worthiness Matters. Worthiness does matter. That's why we're here. Thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.